Okay, so the second part of our colored pencil unit is drawing a small fruit. So I have a pear and an apple for you guys. If you wanted to draw something else, that's totally fine. Just find one that has a good contrast in color. So we get whites and highlights and then some darks, right? And so also I have the colored one and then also the black and white, because the black and white allows us to see more of that contrast, so it's easier to kind of find out where those things are starting and beginning. So what I started off with is, this is about the size of your guys' sketchbook, and so I put the apple in the middle, and then I drew the shapes of the highlights and the shadows. So all of these gaps are also in here, these shapes. So once I do that, I'm getting my kneaded eraser and kind of just going over top of it, all right, lightly. So I can still see it. You might not be able to see it necessarily on the camera, but where I am, I can still see my lines, but they're not going to show up when my colored pencil goes down. So you guys can't necessarily see it, but there's still a little bit of an outline and I can still see the shapes. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to go in and do my dark areas. So my dark areas obviously are right here, right? And then we're drawing this shape almost right here, okay? So let's do it. And what we're doing here is we're just going really light, alright? We're not trying to make any big, harsh lines. I'm just drawing this highlight out here. And then here as well. Drops a little bit. Goes up here. Also comes up over here. Goes back down around. Right there. Shows a little bit right there. So I'm still trying to make sure that I'm getting the shapes. Doesn't have to be perfect, especially for this exercise. But I want it to be close. Gets a little darker down here near the stem. Stem is pretty dark itself. Alright, so what I like to do is I like to work dark to light. So for the dark parts, just like we just looked at in our value study, I'm going to add complementary color to that. So I think this area is a little darker than right here. So what I'm going to do is first put down my red real quick. Just a light, easy color. Trying to stay the same direction for the most part. Right, staying in those lines, but I'm not have to be perfect. And then I'm gonna come with my green and do just like we did in that value study. Just go over it, go the same direction, just lightly over it. Remember, you can always get darker by adding more green. And if you need to get lighter, think about some of the techniques that were shown in one of the videos with the tape, also erasing, and then using white colored pencil. So that's where I wanted my separation between this color and this color. So, and actually I think this darker color kind of comes up here also. So we'll get that up there real quick. Oh snap. So we're just thinking about how I can layer it. Gotta sharpen my pencil real quick. Another thing to remember about sharpening your pencil with colored pencils is trying to keep your pencil shavings kind of all in the same loop. It's good for the pencil, keeping it strong in the wood around your graphite. So, come back around here. Try to make this darker. Also maybe going in a little more across your spots to try to kind of blend that in a little bit. See how we're not seeing necessarily that large, huge, harsh line right now. Try and just use your pencil. Kind of just also down here. So when you're thinking about drawing or using your colored pencil to draw your lines, just make sure you're not going harsh, because you'll be able to see that. And thankfully, like right now, you can't necessarily see when I go over it, because I did it very lightly. So again, trying to go the same way, not trying to push my pencil really hard straight down, but just trying to continue to layer and allow my layering to pick up on the tooth of the paper to get it darker and darker. Also, I forgot to kind of add my green down in here. Add those shadows that are down there. Come up here a little bit. One up here. Part of this, it gets really dark. It adds a little slower. Goes back in here. So maybe add in some more green right in here in this middle section. And then down again right here. So then I can kind of add my white. Not my white, but just going over those highlights lightly. It's a little darker in here. Say my stem is probably the darkest part, so I'm going to use a 1-to-1 ratio between red and green to create that darkness. Okay. So, and then you just continue to layer more and more on there. Alright? Doesn't necessarily have to look perfect right away, because you're not going to get that nice solid color until you have layered multiple times.